Warning, this episode contains brain food that will lead to improved emotional and social intelligence. Hello and welcome to our new short format servings of consciously prepared brain food designed to improve your mental fitness. This is Lisa Cypers Kamen, your host. For more than 12 years, we've been proudly and consistently crafting harvesting happiness and sharing it with you. Each week, we spotlight diverse thinkers and doers who are contemporary trendsetters and change agents devoting their lives to creating a better world in which to live. We invite you to listen up and change the way you think about human happiness. Our award-winning content is fresh, optimistic, and purpose-driven media that promotes well-being from the inside out. Alrighty then, let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me on today's show, where you will learn to make space for joy, declutter, and flourish. My guest today is Tracy McCubbin. She is the author of Unpack Your Clutter and Make Space for Happiness. Tracy has always described herself as obsessive, compulsive, delightful. And who knew that trait could be turned into a booming business? While working for a major television director in Los Angeles, Tracy discovered she had the ability to see through any mess and clearly envision a clutter-free space. Tracy soon found more and more people were asking for her help, and before she knew it, dClutterfy was born. 12 years later, Tracy decided to take what she's learned and write a book about it. And Tracy is in the house to talk with us about her discoveries and her correlation between human happiness and lightening the load. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I am great. I am super excited to talk with you because I'm forever on the quest to declutter. Sometimes I'm better at it than others, but I get what you're putting down. You know, the lighter we are, the more organized we are, the happier we tend to be and productive.
Absolutely. And, it's so interesting because this comes up a lot. Am I a minimalist and do I preach minimalism? And, truth be told, in my own home, I'm not. I like stuff. I like pretty things. I like, art. I like all that stuff. But I always tell people the tipping point, and I think this will make a lot of sense to you, is when all of a sudden, do you feel like you don't own your stuff anymore, but your stuff owns you? Are you spending all this time managing it and moving it around and paying for it and storing it? When it tips over into that, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah. And there are many of us who are storage space renters out there that have been paying on that $200 a month or more space for years.
Yep. That is a big part of my business. We get hired to come in. People are like, I can't deal. I can't face it. I need some muscle. I need a truck. And we have cleaned out thousands of storage units. And I can say with absolute authority that we have never emptied a storage unit that the things that were in it cost more than the storage unit.
Interesting. Very interesting. Let's talk about our habits and what we are seeking through the stuff that we buy and collect.
So the way that I describe it, and this is what inspired me to write the second book, Make Space for Happiness. I have been in the decluttering space for so long with my company, 16 years doing this started in 2007. And we've been talking about decluttering, talking about letting go. Then the pandemic hit. We were all stuck in our homes. I'm watching everybody just shop like drunken sailors, like Amazon trucks, going whizzing up and down the street. And it just got me thinking, we can't, to be a professional organizer, to be a professional declutterer, to be an expert in this field, we can't talk about our relationship with stuff without talking about our acquisition cycle, without talking about our buying. So I just did this really deep dive on why do we shop? What's really going on here? What are we trying to fix inside ourselves? How are we trying to make ourselves feel better? How have we been sold this bill of goods around anti-aging and retail therapy, and really looking at the correlation that we're trying to fix something with shopping that shopping won't fix.
Yeah. The bowl with the hole We talk about that all the time on this show, that we as humans tend to be this vessel that when we fill it up, when the basket's full, that then we've got it, we've got the happiness, when in fact there's always a hole.
Yeah. Lisa, that's so great. Because the way I describe it, the way I sort of psychically see it with my clients, it's as if there's like a little puzzle piece missing inside their being. So it's like they have this little puzzle piece missing and they're trying to fill it with stuff. And it's really what it needs is, a true connection or, self-confidence or self-respect. These sort of things that never come from stuff, but we keep like going to Marshall's, going to Michael's, thinking that next craft is going to fill it. And so I want to change the conversation so that we can look at healing that. And then the stuff is the icing on the cake.
And you're not suggesting, or your prescription for this is not that we never buy another pair of shoes or a vase. That's not what you're saying. I want to be clear, right?
Absolutely. I am not saying that. I really love shoes.
Me too.
It's not possible. It's not, I think of fashion as art, and I love to express myself through what I wear. What I'm saying is, what's going on in your life that's causing you to overshop and overbuy, right? Are you making informed decisions? Are you shopping within your budget? Are you buying things that you truly love, that you're like, yeah, I'm going to wear this sweater for 10 years, thinking about that as opposed to buying into fast fashion, or, what I like to call the donation myth, where we just buy a bunch of clothes and it's like, well, if I don't like it, I'll just donate it, that we then become part of the problem.
Yeah. And the happiness really isn't in the stuff, and it temporarily is in the process of shopping, because we do get, a surge of dopamine, right? We do get a little, dopamine sugar rush when we go out and shop, right?
Absolutely. And like, think about it this way. This is what I always say is, so we as human beings, right, we're evolved. We used to be hunters and gatherers. So when we would see an apple tree in the wild or, a rabbit, we would get a hit of dopamine to tell us that's a good thing and keep looking for that. So that all made sense. Now we are not nomadic. Everything's at our door. We get that same hit of dopamine. It's like our evolutionary body's telling us when we go to Target, it's the same thing as like killing a woolly mammoth, that we haven't.
Well, Target is a kind of a crack hit though, right?
1000%. So understanding, that's the thing. Isn't it, Lisa, really about understanding? It's like, oh, I get it. This makes me feel good for 17 seconds, 25 seconds.
Yeah.
But then the good feeling wears away. So I keep shopping. Oh, how else can I get that same good feeling that's lasting?
And therein lies the secret sauce in your book, Make Space for Happiness. You're suggesting that we get out of the stores and get into ourselves.
Absolutely. And, it's so... I was very, very close to my grandmother. She lived to be 101. And she was this cute little Scottish woman, and she believed a cup of tea could fix everything. And, and she was often right.
A cuppa.
A little cuppa. We just sit down and we talk. And, so many of the things, like studying the science of happiness and how you can, quote unquote, hack your happiness, it goes back to the things that our grandparents always told us, like, get outside and exercise. One of the best things you can do for your happiness, get outside and exercise. Be of service. Do something for someone else. Have either a gratitude or a prayer practice, counting your blessings, however you want to frame it. The things that really, they work because they work.
And I think the connection, which is something that you do write about in the book, Make Space for Happiness, this idea of having these good, healthy connections to one another, to ourselves, to what really matters to us. And all of the research for decades really backs this up, that having these good, healthy social connections is what ultimately brings sustainable well-being or happiness or life satisfaction. Call it what you will.
Exactly. And also the science supports that one of the greatest predictors of longevity is connection, is friendship. I had a meeting. We just got hired by this lovely couple, in their 70s, so sweet, so great. She self-admittedly called up and is like, since the pandemic, I have developed an awful shopping problem. I just can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. So I went and met with her, and they were adorable. And, I said, well, look, let's tell me more about kind of what's going on. We're chatting. And she just, she's like, well, right before the pandemic, I retired of my job of 35 years, which was at a big office and very social. Pandemic hit. We stopped going to church in person. I now go to it on Facebook. I'm not playing bridge with my girls anymore. And I was like, well, it's no wonder you were shopping more, right?
Yeah.
The things that made you connected, like playing bridge and like bitching about your husbands or whatever you need to do, you're not doing that anymore. So you're looking for it somewhere else. And the first thing I said is, can you get back in a bridge game? Can you just find a bridge game to get back in? And her husband, like, there's one down the street that's once a month. And I was like, just
Perfect.
Start there. Great. I'm like, you want me to drive you? So, those things. And during the pandemic, we got so much of that taken away. So it's no wonder that the shopping went out of control. And so I'm like, let's get back to that. Let's get back to being connected. Let's get back to, putting our shoes on and taking a walk in the sunshine. It's all so simple, but we as humans just like to overcomplicate it, don't we?
Well, we do. We like our stuff. And, I think that as we build our lives, the stuff that we collect almost is like a validation of our being, in some way, right? Every book that we buy, every piece of art, every album or CD or piece of music that we have is a reflection of where we are at the time we acquire it, but that doesn't mean we have to hang on to it forever.
Absolutely. And, one of the things, a big part of our business is we help families after someone's passed away. So we'll go in and help clean out the house and get things shipped to different family members. It is truly one of my favorite things that we do, because we really are providing help in a very difficult time. And one of the things that I've noticed after doing this for 16 years is that people hang on to a lot of stuff from someone who's transitioned. And the reason that they're hanging on is that they want to remember, and they want the world to know that that person mattered, that person that they loved existed. So if I keep all this stuff and I put it in a storage unit and I pay for it, my grandma's still around. And what I want to say is that that connection is always there. Actually, keeping more stuff of them becomes a burden, and it dilutes your memory.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned this, because in the past couple of years that there have been 2 losses in our family of elders, and I have been in the position in both cases of helping to go through things and settle their affairs. And the idea of decluttering their lives, so other family members can move on, has been a challenge for exactly the reasons that you say, right? Where in one case, the one family didn't want to let go of any pieces of paper, like it all mattered. And she was 97. You can imagine how much paper she had. She was practically a hoarder.
I know. I have done it. Yeah. And it's funny. People have said to me so many times on jobs, especially around paper, they have said, like, every time I throw away a piece of paper with their handwriting on it, it's like I'm losing them all over again. I recently found a little notebook that was, I don't even know. I don't even remember carrying it, but it was like a little teeny grocery list size notebook that had my grandmother's initials on it. And I barely remember it. I don't even know how. It was like in a desk drawer, but I opened up inside and there was a grocery list written in her perfect granny handwriting. And it took me right back to, it was so sweet. And it was like Ritz crackers, eggs, half and half, the stuff that she always had in her house.
The stuff grannies have.
Yeah. And it made me so happy to see it. And I think about, yes, that there are those touchstones and those cards. But what I see happening is that, especially if the loss is a big blow, that people keep, like you said, housefuls of it, and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes. And,
we don't need taxes from 1972. They're useless.
Exactly. And that's not going to be your best memory of your granny, right? Looking at her like Schedule C,
And that's the lighter as we go. Like, I think when we're able to kind of get in there and you find your way in. I mean, I'm not the decluttering expert, but in my experience, it's like it's hard to know where to start because it's so overwhelming. But you just find that one little crack and you go in there.
Exactly. And one of the interesting things, I get a lot of calls for my business from women in their sort of mid 40s to 60s. And they're like, okay, my kids are older. I'm realizing I'm the only one who knows where everything is. I'm the only one who knows where all the paperwork is. I usually like sometimes their parent has died or something. They're like, I don't want to leave a mess behind. I don't want that to be my legacy. So I see people start, who have done what you did, had to clean up houses after somebody's passed away. And they're like, why did they leave this mess? And so I'm seeing this real trend into people like, I want to clean up my stuff before I go. I don't want to leave a mess for anybody. And I think that, Lisa, is true kindness. It's true kindness.
I agree. It's kindness. It's happiness. It's empathy. It's consideration. It's, allowing ourselves to be seen, like to do that. Like we clean it up for ourselves and then leave that as a nicely packaged legacy for our loved ones. That's in
Absolutely.
A perfect world. In a perfect world.
Of course. And by the way, there may be some things in your life that you don't want people to find after you die.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
May I suggest?
That special box. Let's take a break. Take a break. To learn more about my guest, Tracy McCubbin, and her work, please go to www.d, and it's the letter D, clutterfy.com. You can find Tracy on Twitter at Tracy_McCubbin, on Facebook. This is Tracy McCubbin, and on Instagram, Tracy McCubbin. We'll be right back. Each day we have the intellectual freedom to be happy or the liberty to be miserable, regardless of external circumstance. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, urge them to seek professional support because good psychological health is vital in achieving a satisfying life. Visit harvestinghappiness.com for psychosocial educational resources to boost emotional and social intelligence. Like what you hear on Harvesting Happiness? Sharing is caring. Pay it forward by spreading the word to your tribe through social media. Find us at Harvesting Happiness on Facebook and me at Lisa Kamen on Twitter. And we're back, continuing the conversation with my guest today, Tracy McCubbin. We're talking about making space for joy, declutter and flourish. Let's get back to it. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty, Tracy. How do we go into the forest here? How do we? Oh, and there's your dog.
There's Bodie. He's telling us. He's
Bodie.
Very.
Tell us, baby.
He's definitely garbage men are a full-time job for him, as you can imagine.
Oh, yes.
Here's the thing. So I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And one of the joys that I have discovered of social media, I didn't know this would be a positive outcome, is that I started posting these 5-minute decluttering challenges, basically things you can declutter in 5 minutes. Coffee mugs, the pen cup on your desk.
Pens.
The pens, like these simple little things that I just started rattling, because I'm very used to when I work with clients, we work on a large scale, a whole room, a whole house. And I just started like doing these. When I tell you these, like 1 million views, like all of them blown. We have, I think there's 30 of them or 40 of them up now. And the thing that's amazing is I keep getting these DMs from people that say, I started doing these 5-minute decluttering challenges and I looked around and all of a sudden I'd done my whole house. Took a couple weeks.
Snap.
But it wasn't painful. I wasn't like birthing a baby. I just like, oh, let me do my pen cup. Oh, let me do my mugs. So there are, like small, what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Like you can take these little bites out of these categories and make a difference. And then you start to pick up momentum. Then you start to go like, oh, this actually feels really good. Oh, I didn't miss any of that stuff I got rid of. Let me tackle a little bit bigger. So it's really about building on our success. Sometimes I think when people go into decluttering, they go into it from a point of view of beating themselves up. I'm lazy. I'm a bad housekeeper, blah, 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 blah. I'm not interested in any of that. I really am. I'm not. What I want people to do is look at what are they going to gain in a positive sense by decluttering and getting organized. Oh, well, I'm going to stop paying $200 a month for a storage unit. Oh, I'm going to be able to park my car in my garage. Oh, I'm going to be able to have a friend come visit because my extra room isn't a dumping ground. If you focus on the positive of what you'll get, it makes it so much easier to change the behavior.
Now I remember where I was going with that. I was going to the sock, panty, and bra drawers. Because those are satisfying to actually take care of. Right?
Absolutely.
You get rid of the holy socks, the droopy socks, the knickers that have holes and you know the ones.
And also, yeah, totally. And also, how good does it feel? Like, think about this too. How good does it feel to put on, oversharing for the audience? I just put on a new pair of panties this morning. They're cute. They're leopard print. I got a little kick in my step, instead of those old, like stretched out ones that
granny
fall
panties.
down.
No granny panties. You want happiness? Get rid of the granny panties.
Yeah. You want joy in your pants? Get good elastic. Right?
Yes. But these are the small little things that you're talking about that actually, we're kidding together about this, but there's some truth in it.
Yeah, there is some truth. And, I am a big shout it from the rooftops. I say it all the time. Use your nice stuff. Do not save it for some special day that maybe or maybe not going to come. Burn the nice candles, eat off the china, wear your nice underwear. Like, use your nice stuff because you are worth it. Today is special. And I have cleaned out so many houses after someone has passed away, and there will be closets or cupboards full of things that have never been touched.
Yes.
Because they're waiting for a special day. You know what's special? Today.
Today's day. Today is the day.
Today is the day. You got up this morning and you took a breath and you filled your lungs with air. That makes it special. I had 2 girlfriends over for dinner on Saturday night, and one lives in London, and we hadn't seen her 7 years, pandemic, all sorts of things. I was like, I just roasted a chicken, nothing fancy. I was like, I'm sitting at the table with china. I got beautiful china that I love. We're eating off of china, and it was great. Would the dinner have been just as good on paper plates? Of course. But for me to feel like these people who are dear to me are coming into my home, this is a special moment. We have been friends for 30 years. I want to celebrate it. It was the greatest feeling.
Yeah, I really do get where you're coming from, that, making today the day, making today the celebration. It's the only guarantee we have is today. So why not celebrate it with joy and with the things that we hold dear? And if we are saddled with a bunch of stuff that's weighing us down, then letting go of it might make you really happy. Somebody else might reap joy from those things that no longer work for you.
I was doing a book signing and I was speaking, and I always do a question and answer afterwards. And it's always goes, this stuff is emotion. It's all emotional. It just goes there right away. Once we sort of get past like, how do I organize photos? Then we get into the good stuff. And I had this woman stand up, and she was very emotional. And she was talking about how she had lost her mother. Her mother had passed. It was a long illness. She was clearly in the depths of grieving. And she sort of mentioned to me that she had taken the night her mother had passed, she'd swept everything off her mother's nightstand. So like pens and empty pill bottles and sort of the, remnants of illness. And she took that all and then she recreated it on her own dresser. So she said every morning when she wakes up, she looks at this stuff and falls apart.
Oh.
And I was like, wait, what? What? Why would you do that? You're already in so much pain about this, She's like, I just don't want to forget. And I'm like, but you can have a piece of your mom and not have to remember the worst night. Like, I want you to go home and I want you to throw it away. Just don't even worry about recycling. Throw it away. And I want you to find your favorite picture of you and your mother and put it in its place. Because I want you to wake up every morning and feel joy and happiness and have great memories about your mom, not the night she passed.
Oh, that's great counsel. It's and simple, you know?
Simple.
You give her permission to let go.
Permission to let go, and also permission, if I might say, to harvest some happiness, to find a little place in her life where she was actively making herself unhappy and replace it with joy. And I think that as we look at our stuff, as we kind of scan around our room, does this little corner make me happy? Does this, and some of it, that's a funny thing, I break our stuff up into tools, things we need to live our life and function better, and stuff that just makes us happy. We just like it because it makes us laugh, or it's pretty, we get to have that stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't mean, we can have our stuff, but we just want to get rid of the crap that weighs us down emotionally,
Absolutely.
And physically.
Absolutely. Of course, and financially, and it's an energy suck. It's all the things. And we know, we look around our house and we're like, oh yeah, that corner, oh yeah, that drawer. Let me just, and so that's what I'm encouraging people. I'm seeing this amazing change, not being able to go. I'd love to be able to go and work with everybody, but that these little 5-minute, just little tasks, 5 minutes. Great. I'm going to go through and get rid of the chipped coffee mugs. There you go. No drama. And all of a sudden you're like, look at my cupboard. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Look at how tidy it is. What a nice feeling that is.
And it's celebrating you, and it's making your life, if you think about the practical of it, let's just take coffee mugs, right? You have a bunch of chipped coffee mugs. We know the ones we like. We know the ones that keep our coffee hot enough or cold enough, and so if your cupboard is stuffed with coffee mugs and 50% of them you don't like or use, you're making your life harder. You have to wade through the bad ones to get to the ones you want.
Move them on.
Get rid of them.
Cold-hearted. Move them on.
Yes. Move them on. Move them on. Let it go. I mean, let it go. Let it go. Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, how often do your clients regret what they've given away? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think in 16 years of doing this, maybe twice.
Wow.
And one woman was dealing with hoarding disorder, so that it had nothing to do with, it was a bigger issue. I was like, there was one lady that we had to go back, and I don't know what we had to get from the thrift store for her, but that was it. Nobody regrets it.
Yeah.
Nobody regrets it.
We forget about it. Like once it's done and it's gone, I mean, we face forward and keep on going. We're nearly out of time, and I would love for you as the Declutter Fly Fairy to sprinkle your magic fairy dust and give us all permission to let go of the stuff.
I give you permission. And I will say this in the own little fairy dust you can sprinkle on yourself. If you have something in your home that makes you feel bad, if you have a shirt that, a pair of jeans that you can't get into anymore because gravity happens, today I give you permission to let go of the stuff that makes you feel bad.
Amen. To learn more about the fabulous Tracy McCubbin and her book, Make Space for Happiness, How to Stop Attracting Clutter and Start Magnetizing the Life You Want, please go to www.declutterfly.com, on Twitter at Tracy_McCubbin, on Facebook, this is Tracy McCubbin, and on Instagram, you may find her at Tracy McCubbin. Tracy, thank you for sharing part of your day and your wisdom with us.
Great. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Harvesting Happiness today. This is Lisa Cypers Kamen on behalf of my guest, Tracy McCubbin, wishing you kind thoughts, kinder words, and the kindest of actions. Until next time, remember, happiness is an inside job. Happiness is your inside job. Please go out and rock your day, and remember to be kind to one another. Keep harvesting your own happiness anytime and anywhere from the comfort of wherever you are. Subscribe, listen, and share hundreds of downloadable episodes from our mental muscle toning libraries at harvestinghappinesstalkradio.com, toginet.com, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about my global consulting services, please visit harvestinghappiness.com. Spread more joy by liking us on Facebook at Harvesting Happiness and following me on Twitter at Lisa Kamen. Harvesting Happiness is produced by me, Lisa Cypers Kamen, Andrea Mengele, Robin Boyd, Andrea Daly, and the awesome team at Podfly Productions, including Eric Begay, Kimberly Beck, and Alec Gus, in collaboration with TogiNet Radio, KBUU, RadioMalibu.net, and is available on PRX, the Public Radio Exchange.